We hear a lot of perspectives on the Mankind podcast. Inclusion of a guest is not an endorsement of their views, and the opinions expressed here do not always represent the mission or values of the Mankind Project USA.
G'day and welcome to another live recording of the Mankind Podcast, the show where we break the molds of modern manhood to prove that there is more than one way to be a man. And I can tell you this, one of the best ways that I've been able to grow as a father, as a husband, as a citizen, has been in companionship with other men, whether that's in men's circles or sports leagues. I learned a long time ago that I can't do it alone, even though I was raised that real men do things alone and they figure it out. Clint Eastwood walking into the desert kind of imagery comes to mind. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. Yet, sometimes we need that reminder because it's easy for me, and I know for many others, to fall back into isolation, to fall back into bringing things into our cave. And so I wanted to bring on Jake Fishbane and Nick Papadopoulos to come on and talk about the impacts of their men's groups that they've helped establish. They have a book that's out that's very exciting, an Amazon bestseller. And maybe this is just the reminder you need to be in community and step into the arena, because when you're in the right community of men and you have that brotherhood, there's no spectating allowed. You got to get in there and experience what it's like to come alive by challenge and by sponsorship and by support and all the beautiful things. But anywho, let's talk to the experts here. Jake, Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. It's great to be here.
Yep.
Great to have you both. Brandon. Great to see you too, my friend. So I got to meet both of these gents in Denver at the Big Tent Summit earlier this year, which was just a wonderful experience. Nick and his community did an incredible 38,000 step challenge in New York, which we have, very graciously stolen here in Chattanooga. And Nick was all about it. So we're going to be doing that in October, in the fall, when it's a little cooler outside. That's happening, which is really sweet.
How many people will it be, Brandon, approximately?
Currently, we have about 20, and I'm the numbnuts that tries to turn it into 200, and my community's like, all right. let's just do year one. Let's just get year one. And I'm like, no, we'll get sponsors. We'll do a local radio thing. And they're like, okay, let's just do year one.
Right. That's awesome, dude.
Well, that's the cool thing though. That's the cool thing about like, okay, you have the idea and this really cool thing. I'm like, oh, I want to do that in my community. But then immediately it's like, give it to the community. There's a community of guys there that we've built up. Like, give it to them and have them run with it. But in any case, Nick, Jake, let's just get a quick kind of rundown of how you found yourself in this work. Maybe a before and after snapshot before you found the power of being in community with other men. Jake, why don't you kick us off?
Well, I actually think it would make a lot of sense for Nick to kick it off many ways, because I came to this work through Nick. So, Nick, I'm going to punt the question to you.
Oh, so it's Beautiful. My fault, Jake. Oh, okay. Got it. So Brandon, I would say about 23, 24 years ago, my dad had passed away. And, we had at best a funky relationship, right? A relationship that was not always the healthiest. He had passed away, so I was contending with that. What I was also contending with is my lifelong journey and relationship with men, right? I was definitely the guy that would say, I trust women more. I can open up to women more. Even though on the surface you would think, guy's guy, I was president of my fraternity, played competitive sports like you referenced at the top. I always felt like an outsider with men. I always felt a distrust. And so I went into therapy, and I quickly learned that I really, really needed to shift and transform my relationship with men, my dad, with other men. And so I enrolled this therapist about 23 years ago to start our first men's group. And it was 8 men. And I remember sitting, co-facilitating, although he was the lead facilitator at the time. And I just remember sitting there and each man just sharing their story, right? Just opening up, not even going like way under the iceberg, just just sort of next level. And I just remember sitting there thinking, geez, I feel like home. I really, really feel like I belong here. Like I feel like I can be myself. I can think, and that's really how the journey for me started, which was really for a selfish reason, which was to transform my relationship with men, my dad, and others.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So 20 plus years now on that journey. I'm excited to see what's materialized since then. Jake, how did you get wrapped up in this weird and wacky, wonderful world of men's work?
Well, I met Nick about 11 years ago when I hired him to coach me through a career transition. And after we stopped working together a few months down the line, Nick sent me a message that he had something he wanted to talk to me about. And so we met over burgers near Penn Station here in New York City. And he said, I want to write a book about a men's group. Would you write it with me? And I got tingles up and down my spine. I said, yes, let's write it as a novel. And so I joined the men's group he was running at the time, the Dudes of Disruption, as research for a book, and then was in that group for 8 years. And over that period of time, became a certified coach, working both in the corporate and personal spheres. Nick and I started another men's platform called the Arena Men's Group in 2020. And so when I joined the Dudes at 24 years old, my life now, I'm 35, is completely different in terms of my career, my relationship. We now have a book that's published that people are reading. And well, that is the decade-long journey. I was talking with somebody yesterday, and they were asking similarly how I got into this. And I talked about, I've been asking these same questions since I was a kid around what does it mean to live well? What are these questions that we don't always have answers to? And this recognition that the modality has changed, but men's work, coaching, fiction writing are all modalities for me to be an exploration and to help others be an exploration of how do I want to live? What does it mean to live well? How to live honorably? And also, what the flock are we doing here? As I think the big question that we're all faced with is just, why are we here?
Did I hear that correctly? What the flock?
I did. I said, what the flock? Yeah.
That is not enough of a departure from the F word. It's
enough. It's enough.
You know what? Okay, all of a sudden I have to change the explicit warning. Okay, you heard it correctly. Flock, like a flock of seagulls, all right?
Yeah, exactly, like a flock of seagulls. Just like when I was in elementary school and I think I stubbed my toe or something getting out of the van and I said, oh, fudge. And my dad looked at me and I think he just started laughing.
Yeah. Oh, no, those moments happen. Shed loads of them. Shed loads. All right, anywho. Yeah. See, Dad's in the room. That's where the jokes are coming out this way. So let's jump in. Okay, so let's dive into the book. I'm curious about who you're reaching with this book right now. Are these people that are already kind of in and around men's work, or are these people that are sitting there, arms folded, crossed, being like, I ain't getting no men's group? Like, who did you have in mind when you were writing this? And maybe there was a real person that came to mind, a real protagonist that was the inspiration.
No, in an interesting way, and I know Nick will answer it in a moment, that this book is reaching all sorts of people. Mm-hmm. It's not just one type of person. It's not just men. That this book is reaching men who didn't know that they wanted close relationships with people in their lives. This book is reaching women. This book is reaching people who are going through and navigating grief. The novel, and really purposefully we designed it as a novel because when something's a novel, the reader becomes a storyteller as much as the authors are. And each reader brings their own life to the book and can see themselves reflected in the mirrors throughout. And so while we designed it as a book hoping to reach men who were in their heads and maybe wanted something more, and women who wanted to understand men differently, ultimately what we've created is a book that meets people where they are and gives them an opportunity to have insight and awareness into whatever is striking them. That there are so many different characters in this novel that people have reached out about the moments that have brought them to tears, and they're moments I never thought would bring anyone to tears. And yet it's doing it for that person. And that's the beauty of fiction, is because suddenly there's this wide canvas of anybody who reads it is going to have a powerful experience specifically of where they are in their life, not just one or two things that we were hoping to pass across on the page.
Before Nick jumps in, I want to speak to that. So something I really appreciate is, you know, we in Denver we had a big conversation in the room about the manosphere, and you know, how do we provide the antidote to the manosphere and such, and we talked a lot about, you know, unboxing, like the man box, how men get forced into these ideas, these old tropes of what it means to be a boy, what it means to be a man. Don't be this, don't be this, don't be that. And in turn, like if we're trying to write a book to men at a specific stage with a specific problem, like, yeah, maybe we can call that niching, but it's also, how might we also be boxing men's issues into one thing where what you're saying is that the water's fine, whatever you're going through as a man, whether it's divorce or grief or, you know, relationships or blah, blah, like there is a message in this, a story in this that centers around getting out of isolation, that centers around getting out of avoidant tendencies and just being in space with other men. Am I hearing that correctly?
Absolutely.
Yep.
That each one of the characters, each one of the storylines, the men and the women in the book, are mirrors for all of us in different ways. And so whatever you're experiencing, you will see yourself in the narrative. And yes, the story is about a shut down, isolated man who's in his head who joins a group, and it ends up getting him into the arena. But that's just one story that's in throughout the entire book.
Got it. Okay, so you mentioned the arena. Nick, can you go further into the concept of the arena? Because I immediately think, oh, it's very Teddy Roosevelt. It's very Brene Brown, right? So what's the positioning of the arena in the context of the book and your practice?
Yeah. I do want to comment on your question about like who the book is written for or who's being impacted, just real quick, because what Jake and I have also found is that we have two of our oldest friends who are not in therapy, who are not interested in doing personal development workshops. They're not interested in being in any men's group, let alone ours. However, last week, I spent 3+ hours with my oldest friend of 50 years talking about the distinctions of the book and peeling it back. And in essence, having a men's group session with him. And Jake's had a similar conversation. And I mean, I'm pointing to these two individuals just because of who they are in our lives. And we've had a number of those kinds of conversations, to Jake's point about it's, you know, people are meeting us and vice versa. The book is meeting people where they are. And so we're having these deep, rich, wonderful conversations that this book has really opened up about shame and grief and authenticity and navigating, you know, life's pivotal moments. So I just wanted to call that out because we actually talked about that, Brandon, a lot at the Big Tent. Like, how do you meet people where they are, right? There was one gentleman, Mark Green, who said, hey, he does these walk and talks in New York City, right? They meet at Central Park at a particular location and they walk for an hour. And the only you know guideline is no politics. Let's just talk whatever comes up. And that's what we're finding actually with the book is like men really, really do want to connect, like really do. And I just loved my 3 hours last week with my friend, just having this like really delicious conversation that in 50 years it was so new. Which to go back to your question about what's the arena, I mean, to me, that's the arena, right? The arena is the ultimate access to vulnerability. It's the ultimate courage to put yourself, you know, front and center, be seen, be heard without any guarantee, right? I mean, that's vulnerability. Like I'm going to share what I'm sharing right now, right? No clue what's going to come back. And the conversation, again, just to use the conversation with my friend last week, I mean, he was being courageous and I was being courageous. And that's what I mean about the arena is not just about tangible results, although, yes, there's an outcome. It's about ways of being. being courageous and being willing to open up. I mean, we were talking about conversations about, what are our disempowering stories in our head, and, how it's impacting our relationships, and how it's impacting the way we manage money, and the way it's impacting our, relationships with our spouses. That takes courage, because you don't know what you're going to get back. And so the arena is the ultimate test in courage to go for it. And the reason to go for it is not to win, actually, or to lose for that matter. It's to learn. It's to be alive. It's to immerse yourself in this vitality and this energy. To me, the people who live longest or live most prosperous are the ones who are committed to learning. And to me, the arena is about learning, growing, being immersed in the experience.
And so how can that arena show up in different ways? What have you found have been the different formats and avenues in which men can feel that aliveness, that it isn't just a spectator sport? I mean, obviously, join a men's group. That's a very clear call to action. But like, where are other arenas where you've found a sense of like adventure, meaning, aliveness?
Well, I believe every day is actually that opportunity. That our platform is called the Arena Men's Group, and yes, when you join the arena, it's kind of this meta idea of you're in the arena. But we've had guys who have been in the group and they're not in the arena in their lives. That the true measure of being in the arena is not being in a men's group, is not being in coaching, is not being in therapy, is not doing workshops. It's what do you do in the small moments day to day in your life? How do you show up with your kids? How do you show up with your wife? How do you show up with yourself in the quiet moments? That those are the real representations of being a person, being a man in the arena, is showing up every day. Because anybody can show up once a month or once a week or once every 2 weeks for a men's group. But what do you do after that? What do you do because of being in that space? That's for me, like that's where to play in being in the arena. And all the other stuff is just content.
Yeah,
Well, and that-
what I'm hearing from Jake, just to ride his coattails, is the deliberate practice to find your peace, to find your truth, to find your equilibrium. This morning I got up and I meditated, and part of my meditation, and it was deliberate. I had specific mantras that I was reciting, and hand over heart, and really, really immersing myself in the experience, right? That was a deliberate practice. I was in the arena. I was having an experience, right? That has nothing to do with being in a men's group or being in therapy or in a workshop, which again are all wonderful, obviously, to do.
Hey, it's Boys, and sorry to interrupt. I'm jumping in with an invitation. If you've listened to a single episode of this podcast, you've heard me or Brandon talk about the Mankind Project. It's a global community committed to one simple but very complicated idea. We're men helping other men to become better men. One of the ways we make shift happen is through a weekend rite of passage called the New Warrior Training Adventure. It's not a retreat, it's not a workshop, it's an intensive, it's a digital detox, it's a crazy ride, it's a uniquely life-changing space. And it's a chance to step away from the regular world, tell the truth about where you are, and discover what's possible, surrounded by men, some of whom have been right where you are right now. And if you're a friend, a partner, a wife, a mom, or a grandma who loves a man, maybe he's waiting for an invitation. Share it with him. You can learn more at mkpusa.org.
Yeah, I love it because we're getting to see downstream, like the men's group or whatever the vessel ends up being is just a throughput to find that edge in many ways. Because like you could look at someone and be like, whoa, that's intense. Like they run marathons, they do whatever, this level of business, they scale things, blah, blah. And in your mind, you might be thinking like, oh, that's the arena. But for them, that's just a Monday. And so what is the arena for them then, right? It's for each individual is what I'm gathering is like, because, so context, I've joined this program called Men and Women of Discomfort. I had Dane, one of the co-founders, on the show, and I'm 3 weeks in of no sugar, no booze, no dairy, no carbs, and it's like fasting, cold showers, 6 days a week of working out. Holy moly. Like, their whole mantra is alive and awake for love's sake. And it made me realize how even though I'm, whatever, high performer, this, blah, 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 this or that, blah, blah. It's like, people can point to it and be like, that's cool. But for me, I'm like, this is comfortable. Like way too comfortable. And it made me recognize, I'm like, I'm so freaking bored. Like there's no challenge in this. There's no excitement. There's no fear. There's no edge to it. And that makes me think, and it gets me out of that habit of like this really horrible ego place in my head I go where I'm like, oh, I've arrived. Oh, I've got my black belt. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, nah, man, there's always levels. There's always levels to go. And I'm in charge of figuring out what that is. So
yeah, it's that deliberate practice for me this morning. It just it has me filled up the whole day.
Yeah. There you go.
Just being the intentionality of it.
I hear that. So I'm curious then about what is the internal negotiation that most men that you come across are having to reconcile before making the move? Reaching out to a men's group or joining a sports league or a car club or whatever it is to get out of isolation and avoidant behaviors into community and a chance to like do the deep stuff.
Well, it's always time. I mean, that's I don't have, I mean, if you're like the tactical response is always about time. Men can get really cute and use family. I've got a lot going on. I've got a baby or, my kids are on a travel team. And I mean, they paint the picture of basically making themselves last.
So let's get unfiltered here. You said they have the cute excuse of family. So someone listening right now might be like, I have all the justification to not have time because of family or whatever. Like, what is your unfiltered response to that? Let's just imagine it's someone that you've got some history with and like between the eyes. What do you say?
I mean, my unfiltered is we had a guy in the group who said that he needed to leave the group because he needed to tutor his son who was going to be going into high school, and he needed to set him up for SATs, and he could only do it. We meet every other Monday, 2 Mondays a month, and he had to leave the group because he had to tutor his son during those 2 hours, those 2 Mondays.
Yeah,
that's
convenient.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
that's complete bullshit, right? Because at the end of the day, being in a group like we all know actually will enhance your life, your relationship with your family. I mean, the purpose of our work, one of our core values is contribution. And what I mean by that is if the work just stays within the circle, then we've failed. It's actually stingy. We want the work to go out, right? So whatever exercise, conversation, breakthrough, aha, insight, sharing, whatever it is, it's meant to be shared with your people. Right? And so it is, you will be a better father in this example. You will be a better spouse, a better worker, a better boss. Was that unfiltered enough?
Yeah, no, I love it because I find myself, so it's kind of cool in this program, like it's very strict and it's like, if it walks or grows, you can eat it except nuts, legumes, seeds, kind of thing. And, people will be like, well, can I do this? And even if there's a room for negotiation, the moderators always come back and they're like, the fact that you're asking the question, what is it that you're trying to serve in asking the question? Or why don't we just go with the assumption that it's not allowed? Like, let's just go with the assumption. And it's like, and I remember in those moments being like, but I'm special and I need to get special treatment. And then I'm zooming out and I'm like, Jesus, Brandon, bloody hell, just suck it up. Everyone else is doing it. Just do it. Go for it, And it's been really cool to get out of that, oh, my son needs tutoring kind of mentality, because I've seen this all the time. I've been, I've sold high ticket stuff for many years now. And it's amazing how in the moment where someone's going to separate with a decent amount of money to do a transformational program or experience, it's like, did I just become the Grim Reaper? Do I have like the touch of death all of a sudden? Because you'll get these texts, hey, there's been a tragedy, there's been a this or that. Now, so for all that is holy and whoever's up there, or God, universe, spirit, like, please forgive me if any of these people were telling the truth. I do apologize. But more often than not, it's like they were on the tipping point of doing something super meaningful.
Yep.
The threshold was right there to enter into the hero's journey or the arena, and they chose the ordinary world. They chose to stay in the status quo and where they were. Again, this sounds very judgmental, but I think anyone listening, including myself, has those moments where we're about to end up, we're about to leave Kansas and enter the yellow brick road, but it's like, oh, but I could just stay where everything's very predictable and very comfortable. And so,
yeah, Jake and I experience that quite often. We could almost predict when a person is going to leave when we've touched that third rail, right? And that third rail is different for each of us, right? What that threshold is, and that's that pivotal point. It's like we just landed on the moon. The gold is there, and it's like, and in that moment, right, which way you're going to choose. Jake has always been the guy that chooses to keep going forward, which is why one of the things I just love about Jake, that's part of being in the arena, that he's willing to literally get his nose punched, get his face punched in, because he'll lean in versus lean out. But we can predict, like, when the person is like, okay, no mas.
Yeah.
And then that's where, as facilitators, we have to figure out, right? Do we meet them where they are? Do we push more, etc.?
Yeah, it's a finesse game, right? Because I've seen dudes crack, and they just want out, and it's like, man, do they need the hug or do they need the kick in the ass? Like, where do you meet them? And so, in your experience, I mean, obviously there's a lot of nuance to this, but broadly speaking, for men that they know deeper down there is that calling to purpose, that is that calling to contribution. They recognize that there's some deep, dark, and dirty crap that's like there's no bypassing it. We kind of got to sail through the storm in order to make this happen. Broadly speaking, what is the message? Is it love? Is it fierceness? Is it tenderness? Is it you can't have one without the other?
Yeah, this is my answer to almost everything, which is very unhelpful for people listening, and it's counter to what you're asking. But it is my answer.
Fudge, Jake. Oh, fudge.
Yeah, it depends, because everybody's different. And this is the art of facilitation. This is the art of coaching. It's being able to listen to what does this person in front of us need. And I think also really importantly, and I call it like the place people are unwilling to go, the place they can't go, because there are some things in all of us where if we were to actually work on that thing and reveal that you've been deceived or that our belief is false, that it would shatter our conception of our identity in the world. And sometimes it's not safe for people to go there, and they're not willing to. And so for us, it's this art of really listening to what is this person saying, and is it the invitation to keep stepping in and keep trusting the process, but also knowing we've got to avoid that rough patch because they're not ready for that yet. While also believing our groups are ongoing. People are in our groups until they decide to leave. We have guys in our community who've been around for 11 years that they might not be ready today, but 2 years from now, they might be ready. And it would be a shame on us to push them too hard for them to leave just because they weren't ready today. That said, there are times where it's really necessary to go for the jugular and push really hard, because that's what that person needs to unlock, or they need to choose in or out. Because by choosing in but not being both feet in, they're dragging the group down. And so we're always paying attention to what's happening for the individual, what's also happening for the broader community, because we've got to be in service of both.
Yeah, and I would add that part of the come from is the term I use. The come from is the willingness to go the distance. And that may seem like there's a fierceness always. Sometimes going the distance it can look a lot of different ways. It can feel a lot of different ways, right? But our come from is we're in a space where we're going to go the distance. We're going to have a conversation or call someone out or call someone forward in a loving way, in the most supportive way, in the fiercest way, could be in the rudest way. I mean, in the most shocking way, right? Or some version of that. But I would say the come from is definitely, you can expect we're going to go the distance. And I would also say our come from as facilitators is all heart. I'm not saying we're perfect, right? Because I'll speak for myself. I'm human, right? And I get triggered and all of my caca comes up. And what people feel, what's most important is they feel our heart. They feel our soul, that we are literally their foxhole guy. And I'm a pacifist, so I apologize for bringing in a military image, but it's the best image I can give. It's like it's really, really important to know that you've got some foxhole fucking guys around you, man. Like, and if you have one, that's fucking enough sometimes, and I would say that's like our come from is we're your foxhole guys.
Beautiful. There's something to that. So I want to speak to the listener who doesn't have that established right now. That there is no amount of waiting that's going to have that foxhole buddy show up. Like, it takes risk, it takes fear, it takes exposure, it takes being willing to go first and take those masks off. But man, I can tell you this, when it hits the fan and it's 3 a.m. and you're in crisis, or in my case, a family member we just found out some pretty difficult news health-wise. Like, boom, I know the first person I'm calling. And if for whatever reason they don't pick up, I know my second. I know my third. There's never been an example where I haven't got to the fourth call and someone hasn't picked up. But those relationships have taken time and space and connection and being willing to be that for them. And it's so rewarding. It really is. But yeah, you said, are you willing to go the distance? You don't have to be wanting. But are you willing? Right? Yeah. Because it doesn't tickle when someone who knows all my stuff, like, sees me acting in all my stuffy ways and just basically kicks me between the legs and goes like, dude, cut it out.
Yeah.
But far out, where would I be if I didn't have people like that? I'd be unhinged. My poor wife. My poor kids.
Yeah.
Right? You know who the biggest fan is of my men's group? My wife.
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
And so, getting this book in people's hands, The Men's Group, a novel of messy friendships. So already an Amazon bestseller. Great to see it. It's getting a lot of great traction. What's the CTA for folks to get this in their hands, and what can they anticipate from reading it?
Well, go pick yourself up a book. I guarantee it's going to be a fun read. You can find it on Amazon, on bookshop.org, on barnesandnoble.com, on Target, anywhere. The audiobook is going to be coming out soon, too, for those of you men out there who aren't big readers. We had a phenomenal voice actor named Nick Mondelli narrate the book. It's such a joy to listen to. So just pick up a book. There's nothing better than actually just giving it a read. What to expect inside of this is a really immersive experience of being in the lives of three men and being part of a fictional men's group. But really the emphasis on the lives of these three men, that the men's group in the book is a vehicle for exploring relationships. This book is not just about a men's group. It's about fathers and sons. It's about friendship. It's about men and women. It's about grief. And it's about the power it takes and the courage it takes to show up in the moments that matter most. And I guarantee you, by reading this, you will think about the friendships and relationships that shaped your lives the most.
And what I would add, and it's in the title, the learning to embrace and appreciate the beauty of the messiness. Like that's actually being in the arena, is the messiness, like all of it, that it's so all over the place and unpredictable, and the opportunity to access trusting yourself, the opportunity to access, bringing a different version of yourself, to know that I'm more than enough to like navigate this, especially if I'm inside of a community, especially if I'm willing to give myself over even just a little bit. So the messiness, I actually believe, is like the beauty inside of the whole book, because life is fucking messy, man, and we are messy people, and I think that's the best part about being human.
Beautifully said, Nick, Jake. Well, the book, folks, is The Men's Group, a novel of messy friendships. The links to it are going to be in the show notes, so you can get your hands on it. Gents, it's been absolutely wonderful to spend this time with you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, I love seeing the work done. What took decades, right, of just time under tension in space with men going through real stuff. And there were the men that you were able to help, and there were men that you couldn't, and that you couldn't keep. And everything in between that just gave you the insights to create something that is going to compound and reverberate and ripple into so many people's lives. Because as I know, as you both know, and as some of you listening know, the work that you do in men's circles and listening to shows like this, it doesn't stop at you. It doesn't stop at you. I did some work last week in my men's group that, holy moly, I've been feeling the tremors of that ever since, and just about every interaction, whether it's with my 4-month-old, my 3-year-old, my wife, or some random stranger. And there's an opportunity in that for you, because holy moly, I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for it. You all wouldn't have the book or your relationships or beyond if it wasn't for it. And so answer the call, step in the arena. Don't be a spectator in life, because the real living, the real fulfillment comes from when you're willing to step in the ring and get a fat lip.
Yes.
Or a beautiful hug.
A big fat lip.
Yes. Yes.
Of course, the greatest thanks goes to you, the listeners who join us each and every week for this, the Mankind Podcast, the show where we break the molds of modern manhood to prove that, in fact, there is more than one way to be a man. What do you say, Jake and Nick? Have we done that today?
Yes. I believe so.
I know so. We'll see you all next week. Lots of love.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
This has been another episode of the Mankind Podcast, produced in association with the Mankind Project USA. We have been your hosts, Boyson Hodgson, and myself, Brandon Clift, and we want to thank our guests for joining us today and imparting their wisdom from their experiences in this amazing journey called life. If you want to find out more about today's guests and support them in their mission, you can find links to them in the show notes. Now, if you have found gold and insights that you believe could benefit your loved ones and those you care about, be sure to share it with them. And of course, we are always grateful for a rating and review of the show on iTunes. Now, above all else, we've got to thank you, the listener, because through your attention and your support, you have made it possible for us to let men all over the world know that they are not alone and that there is more than one way to be a man. And if something in this episode has touched you, then perhaps it is the call to action to get involved in men's work. With live trainings happening constantly and in-person trainings happening all over the world, the Mankind Project definitely has something for you. Now, if you've enjoyed the music in this episode and all of our episodes, be sure to check out Jim Donovan and the Sun King Warriors. I have links to them in the show notes. And lastly, just know, what it means to me to be a man is completely different than what it means for you. That is the beauty of this journey. So if you are looking for guidance, support, and community as you begin to unpack and dive deeper into your men's work journey, then you know where to find us. Same place, same time, next week. Lots of love. We'll see you then.
Hey, it's Boysen. On the Mankind podcast, we've brought some incredible guests on to talk about the importance of doing the work to improve our mental and emotional health. And here's the truth. Multiple times over the last 25 years, I've had the help of one-on-one work with some amazing therapists. For me, for my wife, for both of us as adoptive parents, and for our kids. The Mankind Project and Men's Group, though awesome, are not a substitute for professional mental health support. And so I'm thrilled that the Mankind Podcast now has BetterHelp as a sponsor for the show. BetterHelp works online. It asks you what you're working on and then matches you for live one-on-one sessions with a licensed therapist, someone trained to work with you, listen, and offer helpful insights. I'm using BetterHelp. It's super easy, and I like what I'm getting. If getting one-on-one support in the comfort of your own space feels like a good direction for you, I invite you to check it out. Go to the link in the show notes or betterhelp.com/mankind. And if you sign up, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy.